But the mentality, I just don't get it.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me either, because I feel like, you know, if you fire somebody that early in the season, I mean, you're not even giving your team an opportunity to win. You know, it takes time to implement a new system. It takes time to make changes. You know, all those type of things take time. You know, usually that's what the off-season is for. The off-season is so you can install those systems and figure out who you want to feature in your offense, or, you know, what kind of defensive sets you want to change, and et cetera. Like, those things are done in the off-season, not during the season. So, you know, when you get rid of your coach and the staff, you know, you're destroying the continuity there. And now these players got to now learn something new on the fly, which I'm not saying that they can't, because there are players that can, but you just give yourself very, very little room for error in trying to figure it out. So, you know, you got GMs and you got these owners who never played a sport ever. You know, they've never played at a competitive level, things like that, and they're the ones that are making these decisions, right? So they don't get it. Only thing they're thinking about is their bottom line and their bottom dollar. Instead, oh, we're not getting results. They don't understand the work that you got to put in to get those results. So.
Exactly. True. So, Jason Kidd's gone. I definitely believe he'll find a job. Where will it be? I don't know, but he'll definitely get a job. To me, that's not going to be any surprise. So, I read something. Oh, go ahead.
I'm about to say he'll get one before Mark Jackson.
He is blackballed. I don't know what Mark Jackson said or did, but he sent team to get any job. You don't think he can coach?
He can't coach. He can't coach, man. He can't coach. He's not an X and O guy, man. He's a you know. Let's go ahead and say this. Let's go ahead and say this Bible verse real quick, and then y'all gonna go out and hit a whole bunch of threes. Right? I mean, just don't work, man. You know, he can't coach, man. The X and O's, he's missing the X and O's. You look at everybody else on his staff; they're still in the league coaching. He's the only one that's not coaching. Mike Malone is coaching in what, Denver right now, right? He was a part of that staff,
right?
You know, you know.
It's sad, him. But I guess you're right.
It was him. He was the problem. He can't coach.
The common denominator. Common
denominator.
So on to the topic I seen on ESPN. I had to bring this up on the show. I definitely want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions. Tom Brady versus Michael Jordan for the greatest GOAT of all time. This is crazy to compare. It's two different sports, two different types of sports, but I think you can definitely compare the two. But I'm going with MJ. MJ put a team on his back multiple times, plenty of times. The championship wise, I believe Brady's at 5, and then Jordan's at 6. So Tom Brady can possibly surpass or tie the amount of titles, but I think Tom Brady has so many guys on the team that he doesn't have to do everything himself. Yes, he has to throw the ball. Yes, there are things that he has to do, but Jordan was on a team with Pippen and a lot of just guys, basically. And there was a lot that he had to do. And I think when you compare the two of those guys, I got to go with Jordan. You only got 5 players on the court. And 9 times out of 10, there wasn't that many scores. It was him and Pippen. Yeah. You could give, you know, Steve Kerr a shot in the corner, but I think you got to go with Michael Jordan. And I want to get your opinion, everybody else's thoughts in the chat room too.
Yeah, I'm going with MJ. Just because I think when you play basketball, you as a player have the ability to really affect both sides of the ball. Like, as good as Brady has been, Brady only affects one side of the ball. He affects the offensive side. Like, Brady's never going to go out there and cover anybody. He doesn't, he doesn't have to get a sack. He doesn't have to do any of those things. You know, That's why they call, football like the ultimate team sport. Like everybody has to be on the same page, and so I think it's harder to win championships in the NFL and win championships. And so for that, I give Brady praise in that aspect of the difficulty it is to get 5 rings, to get 6 rings, to been at, he's been in 7, this will be his 8th Super Bowl, right? This will be his 8th Super Bowl. So, to get to 8 Super Bowls, that is hard. That is hard in itself, but to impact the game on both sides of the court, that's what Jordan did. Like, Jordan was not only one of the best the best offensive player in the league, but he was also one of the best defenders in the league as well. Like, and there was no denying that. And when you got on the court, Jordan was always the best player on the court. He was always the best player. There were better teams that came against him at times, but somehow he beat those teams. So for me, it's going to be Jordan. It's always going to be Jordan. And then, I'm not a big Brady fan either, but, 2 of those Super Bowls that was won by field goals, that was the luckiest. Like, to me, that was just the luckiest crap ever, man. Like, I mean, the Carolina Panthers, you look at that Super Bowl, if, I think John Casey was the kicker at the time. Was it Casey or, I can't remember which kicker it was at the time, but he's the one that kicked it out of bounds on the kickoff and put the Patriots on a 40-yard line would only need to run 2 plays to get field goal range, which is what they did. They ran 2 plays down the field goal range and kicked like a 50-yarder for the win. Like, Brady didn't do nothing. Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, like, that's not, that just wasn't impressive to me.
Yeah.
And the same with I think the Rams, I think they won that one. No, was it the Eagles? It was the Rams. The Rams, they won that one on a field goal as well. So, to me, I mean, those aren't that impressive to me. It wasn't like he dominated the game. He played well, but I don't feel like he was like, oh, like, Carolina should have a ring right now. That's what I know. Carolina should have a ring. That if the kicker doesn't kick the ball out of bounds, Carolina wins that game. If Marshawn, if they gave the ball to Marshawn Lynch, Seattle will have 2 rings. Like things like that. Like, I mean,
right.
Some of it just luck. And that's not taking that away from him, but he got some lucky spots there, in which he won rings in. So
definitely. Let's go to the chat room. We got some comments here. That Bad DJ says basketball is the only sport where systems don't really factor in because it's such player-driven league. You always have cases where coaches are fired mid-season and their replacement comes in and helps them win a title. Not saying Milwaukee is that level, but NBA is like that. He said MJ isn't the GOAT though. Okay, That Bad DJ. Who is the GOAT? I want to get that comment.
Man.
Also, we got comments here. Ralph says Ben wouldn't have as many Super Bowl wins without Gostowski or the Tuck rule. Definitely agree with that one. That's correct. How many Hall of Famers did Brady play with on the offensive end? Says Michael Bonner. Welcome him to the chat room. The answer to that question, I believe, is no. Randy Moss may possibly be getting in. I believe he's on the ballot.
No, that's not a maybe. Randy Moss is a Hall of Famer.
He should be, but you know how these writers are. Well, he didn't talk to me that much, and he was rude to me, so I don't know if I want to vote. You know how these writers are, so I would say he should be in.
Randy Moss is a Hall of Famer, but he did have Corey Dillon too. Corey Dillon, I will put Corey Dillon in there. He hasn't came up yet. Corey Dillon was pretty raw. He was a legit like top running back in the league at one point. And you want to talk about the O lineman that he had that should probably be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, we could talk about them. I mean, let's not like I hate when people try to quantify talent by like, okay, well, look at the Hall of Famer that you had. Like, the guy who made the catch for Big Ben in the Super Bowl, what is his name?
Antonio Bryant. I think it was Antonio Bryant.
No, not Bryant. The boy from Ohio State. I can't think of his name right now, but he was a really talented receiver. You know, he's not a Hall of Fame receiver, but at his peak, he was one of the best receivers in the league. I can't knock him for say, oh, well, look, he only had this dude right here. He ain't in the Hall of Fame. Like, Tom Brady has had some talented receivers around him. He's had talent around him, you know, from Gronk, who is going to be a Hall of Famer. You know, Amendola was solid. He had Wes Walker, who was a great receiver. You know, he's had, of course, Randy Moss. Aaron Hernandez was a elite tight end. Like, he's had talent. So let's not try to be like, oh, well, you didn't have Hall of Famers. You don't need Hall of Famers to win. You need talent to win. He's had talent.
Yeah, and we're talking about Santonio Holmes was the guy that caught that pass in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Shout out to Chief Rocka in the chat room. Appreciate you for coming through. Michael Bonner says it's so, and he has multiple O's with so, it's so much harder to win in the NFL. To accomplish what Brady has done may never be repeated again in the age of free agency, to be this good for this long. And basically every year, take B-rated offensive players and be this good with them for a long. You got a good point, right? I don't think we'll see this again. I agree. And Brady is the GOAT in the NFL. I believe that. But I think when you compare him to Jordan, to me it's hard to put him over Jordan. And I think it's everybody's perspective. At the end of the day, what era did you grow up in? It also factors in who's your favorite player, who are you more biased towards. All of that stuff comes into these type of conversations. But I think Brady is one of a kind. I don't think there'll ever be anybody else like Brady. And here's the biggest thing about Brady, New England. When he retires, what do they do? I mean, it's not easy to just get somebody out of the draft and expect him to be the next Tom Brady. That's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, you know what? It's funny because, like I said, I know I'm biased. I definitely know I'm biased, but I've never, even as Tom Brady has set records and you know, and won rings, you know, as far as talent wise, I've never thought that Brady was the most talented quarterback in the league. Never thought that. I think Brady is really, really smart. He doesn't turn over the ball. He gets the ball where it needs to be, and he plays within his system. Like, I think that is his strongest, you know, his strongest strength is his intelligence and playing within his system. Because, you know, for me, personally, I think the best quarterback I've ever seen is actually Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers is the man. And he doesn't have the rings yet to be like, oh, I am. But if you look at his numbers and you look at everything that's there, I mean, the highest QB rating in history, you know, turnover, you know, touchdown to turnover rating, like all those things he has, you know. So, you know, when you talk about Brady's accomplishments, man, like I give him his props. Like, it is definitely, like, what he has accomplished probably will not be accomplished by anybody else. You know, just to get to that many Super Bowls, can even win that many. I mean, I think he's the only quarterback with 5, right?
Yeah.
So you know, they're probably
with Super Bowls.
Yeah, but there'll probably not be another quarterback that will win that many rings. But I'll still say that there's been more talented quarterbacks that came through the league, and you know, because of that, you know, a lot of that, Tom Brady is great, but Bill Belichick is greater. You know,
mastermind.
Bill,
you're right. He's
the mastermind.
He's behind all of this. Like we that's a good point. We tend to forget that Belichick's behind all of this, and I'm sure whatever game plan he has for this Super Bowl is going to be crazy. Michael Bonner puts a question in the chat room. Question: can you be the best without being the most talented? I'll let you go ahead
and that's a great question. That's why I was like, I'm not sure if you can be, but